Meatball man, made of balls of body meat. I'm a little meatball man. Come on now, let's sing.
Are you singing about a meatball man?
Yes.
Why a
Have you
meatball
seen
man?
that SNL? It's pretty funny.
Is it a recent one? No, I have not.
Yeah, no, it's a recent one. It's like a year ago. There's a bunch of. It's an Oscar Isaac episode.
I'm pretending that we're still singing because the thing's still going.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Nobody Asked with Colin. Haha, it was me first. You didn't expect that. And Maria.
Hello.
On this episode, we're speeding up the intro, and we're talking about a couple of topics in life and other things like that. Today's episode is sponsored by caffeine. Whoa! Oh my gosh!
It is fast. Holy moly, that was fast. I wasn't ready myself.
That's going to be, if anyone's marathoning the podcast, which happens all the time because people love this podcast and we've got thousands and thousands of listeners. If anyone's marathoning it, that intro is going to be a breath of fresh air, baby. That intro is going to be, that's going to be a blast. Or maybe you'll skip it. Who knows? What's going on in your life, Ma?
What is going on with my life? I've just been busy. I've been doing a lot more woodworking. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I used to just do math constantly in my head. When I was sleeping, I was doing math. I was always thinking about math and building things. So how can I build this thing that's in my head? You know, what's the correct order of operations? How do I, everything? How am I going to accomplish this task? Doing the math constantly, right? This was always happening. It's lovely. I'm not mad at math. I love math. And then I started working at the post office. And then instead of it being like functional, useful math, everything that was math before was replaced with just numbers, just address numbers, useless, garbage numbers. They mean nothing. And, then I lived in an RV for a while. And then I had no useful numbers or non-useful numbers, no math. It was stupid. It was like 90 Day Fiance and things like that, but no more math. The math had left me. And now I've been building a lot again, right? But with no math. It's been real weird, but I'm still building in my dreams again, which I like. I like that part of my life has returned, but I'm doing it all by feel now instead of with math, which is weird. I don't feel bad about it necessarily, just that's different. I do miss my math a little bit, but for some reason, just going, la, 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 this looks good. It's been fine. It's doing fine for right now. So it's nice to be having thoughts about building again. Just really that's the background of my life again. In the background of my brain, building. So I'm happy to have that return. I have been actively building stuff. I've been completing projects, which is also nice, especially because I have to do it all on the porch because I have no shop yet because we've been focusing on other things. Hopefully this week, the bunkhouse will arrive and then I will be building that, right? I'll be putting walls up in there and getting that stuff going. So fingers crossed, should be this week.
The bunkhouse in which, Owen and Ellie and I will stay in when we visit?
That's the idea, yes.
Cool.
I think the trend now, they call them, what do they call them? ADUs, additional dwelling units. Mm-hmm. Because big corporations and investors have bought up all housing so that it's become inaccessible to people. They're now encouraging people to just put additional dwelling units or convert their garages over to house people. It's kind of a disturbing part of the world right now, but also opportunities for creative thinking and problem solving to, let's not give the money to the man. We'll figure it out ourselves. Move people into your driveway.
Well, I mean, that's cool. So what's the timeline, do you think, on that? Do you have somebody to put in, heating and cooling or?
You know what? As soon as it gets here, Vic is going to come help me. He's built houses from scratch.
Yep,
And he's got the time.
Cool.
Yep. And he's got the time and he's really excited about it. So me and him are basically going to be partnering up and doing this together. And I'm excited about it. But to me, the first priority is I need to have one bedroom ready for you guys. Heating and air conditioning, there's always temporary solutions available to that. So ultimately, we want a mini split system in there, but that feels less important to me than, we can stick a window unit in if we have to temporarily. Same thing with plumbing.
Electrical and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Electrical needs to happen. You just need to have a functional room in there, for you. I hope.
I assume there wouldn't be plumbing.
Ultimately, there's got to be phases of this in my mind, right? So I need one bedroom first, hopefully by November. But since you guys are coming, but not with a dog, there's obviously backup situations available for you. So if you do end up staying here, you got to come in the house to go to the bathroom and take a shower. But ultimately, the plan would be to have one out there, to have a full, 3/4 bathroom situation. So
cool.
Yeah, it'll be nice. The plans, it'll be nice when it's done.
I've certainly seen these plans go from a thought in your head to fruition, so I'm excited to see it.
That's a very nice thing to say.
You're welcome for my
honestly, completing projects is, I procrastinate, but man, getting things over the finish line is like a big deal. The fact that that I can do that, I can get things over the finish line. It's good. It's nice. Colin has disappeared. We're now looking at his chair.
Sorry, Ellie came home and I had the chain locked.
Oh, so she couldn't get in?
She couldn't get in. Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I mean, we're going to be booking the rental car to come down for Christmas as well. So we're going to be taking the dog down. Rental cars have gotten a lot cheaper for me of late because of my age and also because of, well, actually, no, I was 25 for the last rental car that I drove down there. But here's why they really got cheap. I'm so excited about it. Okay, so you were talking about how the sort of background of your brain right now is building.
Mm-hmm.
And because, at my company, I've kind of been tasked with managing the growth of the company and hiring and making sure the cash flow is all there and doing accounting, which it turns out I messed up what I studied in college, which I'm sure everyone realizes, because this is so dumb. I love accounting. It has been bringing me so much joy. It might be the newness of it. I'm sure that it gets bad, but oh boy, do I like when the numbers work. It's just awesome.
This makes complete sense. My mother was an accountant. So.
Yep. Dude, I'm absolutely ripping, but I also like being, oh, sorry. Ellie wants me to switch my audio input so that she can hear it. 1 second.
Beep, beep, boop, boop. Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. And you know what? With your dad's love of spreadsheets, it feels like you come at it honestly from both directions. A love of accounting. It makes perfect sense.
Dude, it's been great. And I also like that because I'm on a small team and I'm handling all the administrative tasks. And then being asked to take the information that I get from that and turn it into a strategy for the business. It's the joy of power and making decisions informed on numbers. So numbers have been in the back of my head much more than normal lately. I've found it impossible to listen to fiction books, which is like all that I consumed before was stories. And now I'm listening to finance books and business books and stuff and just loving it. And that's included in my personal finances, like planning retirement stuff and investing. And then also my credit has gotten to a place, like I didn't have a credit card through college. And then my credit has now gotten to a place where and my income have gotten to a place where I'm competitive for all different offers. And so now I'm getting into that credit card, elite manipulation game. And I've been having just incredible joy with, I got a card which gives you the maximum status at one rental car company. So that gives you an automatic 20% off of their rates. And they have a price match guarantee. So if you find a better rate somewhere else, then you can price match it. And then what I found out that you can do, and this might have been common knowledge, is that when you have status in one of these fields like rental cars, you can call the other rental car companies and be like, I have this incredible status over here, and I'm not seeing that same level of status from you, so I won't be booking unless you match my status. And they go, okay, we'll give you this. So I've gotten it on every rental car company. I now have either the top or the second to the top status. So they have your rental car ready for you. You get a discount on it. You automatically get put in luxury. And it's not like I had to get a certain number of rental cars. It was just getting the status that came complimentary with a credit card. And so we had to book a rental car for Thanksgiving and for a wedding. And it's just like, well, I'll be paying 20% off of the price for a Ford Fiesta, and I'll be requesting a Tesla. So I've got a guaranteed Tesla for Thanksgiving, and I paid less than a Ford Fiesta. Let's go. So I'm having fun with that. I'm having an absolute blast doing things like that and playing all the points games and transferring them between partners. That's been fun. I've been learning about different investment strategies, and because I also manage the money for my company, and for most of the year that money just sort of sits there, and so I want to have it in a very low risk type of investment, so that we don't have a bunch of money that's doing nothing, because what's the point of that if we can have an equally liquid state where there's a greater return on it. I'm just having fun with that. So that's one thing that's going on. And it's constantly in the back of my brain. I'm thinking about, oh, maybe I should think about that. Oh, I should research this. So having fun.
That's awesome. It's interesting that we're both having kind of just a reawakening of things, and that numbers are an interesting connection there. That's cool.
Yeah. I've realized, and I think I've probably said this on the podcast before, but I tend to define myself in opposition to the people that are around me. And I think that this is something that I learned because I was different from the people around me. And then it became the way that I operate. And so when I was in Utah, I defined myself as like not Mormon. And like, I don't know, in any environment I was just like, I'm going to be outside of the norm. And that was how I made myself. And then I went to MIT, and I had all the struggles at MIT, and I started to define myself as artsy only, even though I clearly had the science and the math brain behind it and the love for those things as well.
Yes.
And obviously still I love artsiness and writing stories and all the stuff that I love. But it's like, now I'm just in New York, and it's like, how do you define yourself in opposition to the most eclectic and diverse place on the planet? Well, it's either you stop doing that, or you define yourself as nothing, because the opposite of everything is nothing. So I'm going to go with, let's just try and, re-be myself here. And I like math, and I also like stories, and I like being funny, and I like weird music. So
that's awesome. I have a fear that I am echoing through your microphone when I'm talking. Is that?
Oh, here, let me change the settings for a second.
When it's just you talking, it's fine. Oh, see, that's even worse.
I'll try it again.
Hello. No, that's good.
Okay. Sometimes you just have to turn the echo cancellation on and off. So that's been really good. I went and saw a band called The Body at a venue which, considering it was in New York City, was very difficult to access from public transportation. And it was like 300 people, and I was like, oh, this is going to be some weird DIY band. And then it turns out that the band is credited with like creating the sound of experimental noise metal. And they're like 60-year-old men on stage that are playing the most brutal, like raging industrial noises. And then this guy, again, it's like he would be friends with any of our relatives looking dude. He actually
Okay.
sold me this shirt, and just screaming into a microphone in this very it was a blast. It was fun. You had to wear earplugs, but then the like sound made your sternum vibrate,
Oh, I don't
and
like that.
yeah, it kind of made you afraid for your organs. That was cool. I really like this shirt. Check out this shirt. I like it.
Ooh.
It's the body on the bottom. Um, so that was good. I got a physical,
Good.
which is huge considering I didn't have health insurance for as long as I did. And the result of the physical was everything is better except for your weight, which rips. So, but everything else is like my weight makes so little sense because of how good everything else is. So that's nice. But the weight still whacks. So now I'm eating apples.
You know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Oh.
Hopefully you find a weight that you're comfortable at, where you can live the way that you want to live and eat mostly what you want to eat. It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. What I have to stop doing, and you can tell yourself this, but then when the pedal hits the floor or whatever, you've got to stick with it, is that there will be two things that'll happen. I'll either be successful and then I will maintain for a while after, and then I'll have like a couple bad weeks, like especially Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I'll be afraid to weigh myself. And then I will just perpetually be afraid to weigh myself and then not weigh myself for years. And then, have no idea how bad the problem has gotten. That's one thing that happens. The other thing that will happen is I will get motivation. I will create a strategy. I will perform that strategy for 5 months and then see no fucking results. And have to be like, okay, is there a medical problem here? And I think that the real problem was how much of the work I was trying to do with cardio versus with diet changes. But I was doing like 1,000 calories of cardio a day, but it just wasn't. There was no results from it. So this time I'm just underestimating everything, and I'm going to try to, rather than using whatever metrics are online or whatever, I'm going to try to use, like, if there's weight loss here, then clearly I'm under my calorie goal and clearly there is a deficit going on. And so I'm just going to have to figure out my own number rather than whatever number these websites say, because they all lie to me and they all hurt my feelings because it's like every number related to me is lying to me in a way.
Are we talking about BMI numbers or something
Oh,
else?
no. Well, BMI numbers are a great example because we can put some photos of me up and I can tell you what my BMI was and it'll be like obese. And at the time I would, my brain would be like, well, I am obese because it says I'm obese. And then I would see the photos of myself and I would hate myself for being obese. And then 3 years later, I look at it and I'm like, that person's not obese. I guarantee.
Not at all.
And that there's one photo in particular from high school, which I know I was overweight by BMI in it. And if you look at it now, I think that you would think that person is not eating enough for sure. And
it's funny because I did see some pictures of you recently. I don't know if I was on Facebook or something that were from high school. And there was one where you go, oh, he was not eating enough. Like there was one where I was legitimately like, oh, that was dangerous.
I bet I know which one you're talking about because I have the same reaction now. But here's the problem is you look at it, but like you're also told as a person that you lie to yourself when you look in the mirror and you lie to yourself when you look at photos. That those pieces of information, your like visual information, is not reliable. And obviously you can lie to yourself in both ways, right? You can kind of put on your mirror face and then not know what you look like, or you can be overly critical of yourself in a photo. So I think the natural response to that is to think, oh, I'm sure that I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought. I'm sure that data would help, right? If photos lie and if all of these sort of subjective measures lie, then clearly an objective measure is what I should look to. Oh, the objective measure says not just that I'm overweight, but I'm squarely in overweight. I'm not straddling the line between normal. I'm squarely in overweight. Here's a photo of me at squarely in overweight. That's me.
That is the one where I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
This is me at squarely and overweight. By the way, this guy asked me when I posted the photo online, and we took the photo because we were both in those red pants. And I was like, oh, twinsies. When we took the photo, and I guess that his parents saw it on Facebook and told him that he looked gay, but they didn't use that word. And he like pleaded with me to take it down. And at the time, I was maybe a little bit too militant and was like, fuck off. If your parents think that you look gay and think that's a problem, your parents are fucking assholes. And I was right about that, but I was probably wrong to keep him in a place where he
right, because he's stuck with them if he's in high school most of the time. So
he's stuck with them. But I was militant and also a high schooler. But yeah, in that photo, I'm overweight, and
but also not at all.
But also not at all. Yes, and that there's let me see if I can pull up a photo on here. I also have a photo that I think of when I'm not just obese. I'm definitely obese. I'm like 10 pounds into obese. And
you're just a solidly built people. Like it just, just like Ashley said, that her doctor says BMI is garbage. It is garbage. Even the person that created that system says, no, this is not. Look at how cute you are.
I'm squarely in obese in this photo.
You're not obese at all.
So into obese. And so this is the problem with BMI is that if you're told that you're lying to yourself and that you can't trust what you think you look like, and then you give people objective measures for hating themselves, it's just like, it just hurts. So yeah, well, then I would just work out, and then there would be no weight loss, and I'd get frustrated and I'd stop weighing myself, or I'd have a bad week and I'd stop weighing myself, because the thing that would be really frustrating is 5 months of being on the Peloton an hour a day and watching what I'm eating and calorie counting and being on Noom and having those stupid, fuck the app Noom and its stupid fucking reminders and everything. And doing this like extra thing where it's like, okay, I'm not losing weight. So not only am I going to hit my calorie goal, I'm going to stay 300 under my calorie goal. I'm not going to include my activity calories. And then 5 months of like, you're supposed to be losing a pound a week. Well, I've lost 2 pounds. And then you have a bad week and you gain 5. And it's like, okay, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand what's happening. So that is what happens when I go through these time and time again. I suspect with where my weight is right now, that I think with pretty reasonable changes, I should be able to get to the weight that I was unhappy with before.
But that you probably looked pretty good in. Yeah.
I have those photos now, but yeah, I mean, the problem is that, and it's like, it's not to put anything onto you or Dad, but like Dad would hate himself and would shit on himself at a weight that I'm over right now. And Dad is built like more like bigger shoulders. He's like built like a bigger dude than me. I'm built like a bigger dude than a lot of people my height, but Dad is built like a bigger dude than me. And so
different. It's just different. Your dad's like shoulders. He's like out here, but you're like powerful legged guy.
I have mad legs. That is a huge part of this, but I've got legs out the wazoo. But the issue here is that like Dad would have hit a weight when he was in the Navy or after the Navy and be like, he would make fun of himself, or he'd say things about this weight. and now I am over that weight, and I'm like, well, then I can't be in denial about the problem. So,
Yeah, but have you ever seen those things where they show a bunch of people that all weigh the same amount and how completely different bodies look? Like,
oh yeah. Oh, I looked that up when I saw what I weighed at the physical. Because when I saw what I weighed at the physical, I had a number in my head where I was like, I'm gonna cry if I see this number. But it was in the realm of possibility. And then I'd say 5 or 10 pounds above that, where I'm like, I would believe that. Okay. I outshot that number by 20 pounds. And I was on the scale like, something's wrong. For sure, something's wrong with this scale. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And it's not like the nurse was like, and then kicked it or something. She was like, okay, and then moved on. She was like, yeah, that seems right. I'm like, damn it. So then I went home and weighed myself. I was like, oh, okay, both these scales are broken. That's crazy. So it didn't make any sense. And then the other thing is like my resting heart rate is better than it's ever been. My blood pressure. Last time I got my blood pressure checked, they had just changed the blood pressure targets, and I was in pre-high, which scared the shit out of me. Now I'm back in normal. All this stuff, it's just like, it just drives me crazy. And so I did, when I came home, I looked up my height and the weight that it put me at, men, and looked at photos of it, and I could not find a single example of somebody that even kind of looked like what I thought I looked like. And I'm overly self-critical usually. So for it to be that far out of whack, I'm like, what's going on here? And then Ellie and I got on this diet bet, and you have to take your like first photo of the diet bet, and it's of you, on the scale in light clothing. And Ellie took it, and I was like, you got to delete this photo. I can't see this photo, or it's gonna ruin my day, So she sent it to herself so that I will have a before photo if the weight loss is successful. And she forgot to delete it from the texts. She sent it to herself. So I was on like a 2.5 hour walk. And I was going to text Ellie like, oh, do you want me to pick up anything from the grocery store? And that photo came up, and I was like, that looks better than any of the photos on Google. What are we talking about? I don't understand what's happening.
That's great.
Yeah. And I am way overly self-critical. So something's wrong. Okay. Here's what I think's happening. I think I've accidentally swallowed a small black hole of about 20 pounds. I think that somehow someone threw one at me at some point in my life, because I tell you what, when I'm 210, I look 190, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I think that happened at some point early in my life, and that's what's to blame for all of my woes. Yeah. Wendy says I'm perfect just the way I am. Thank you. Also, it's like, all the body positivity stuff is focused on women, which is fine, but also just throw a little at the guys, just a little bit.
No, yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of
about men is like dad bods, and you're like, okay, you're still hurting my feelings when you're complimenting me here. So I'm like,
well, it's that women actually find dad bods attractive, and so when you're building yourself up into a big muscle man, that's to attract other men. So you know what I mean?
Yeah. But still, I mean,
but yeah, there's tons of men with eating disorders,
and women like Aquaman. What's that guy's name?
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, he's attractive, but it's the whole package, though.
He is everything. Would that be your top 3, Ellie? Jason Momoa. Definitely up there.
Yep.
So is that guy from Bridgerton, though, and it's like,
oh, I don't know who that is.
I roll. I think it has to do with, I mean, he's very sexy. The Duke in Bridgerton, he is that in that show. He's like, but I can't. And then, just women are like, that's incredible that you have self-control. Men suffer too.
for sure.
Okay. Wow. I talked about that for a long time. That was one of the topics. Okay. We said news hour. The news is things are happening in my life, and Colin can talk for a long time. Mom, what news do you have?
We want to do the news. Hey, I just want to be
You
like
don't have
straight
to.
up. Well, I just want to say, like obviously we didn't do an episode the last 2 weeks because you weren't. It wasn't just you was busy. It's me as well. And since I've stopped doing the 90-day coverage with John Yates and stuff, my kind of attitude about being online is different, and I just needed to be more engaged in my life. And so while I definitely want to keep doing the show with you and keep it going, I haven't had that same fire about it.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to get the fire back to some level, but I'm also okay if this is a time period where we need to have a little bit of a little bit of a low in terms of that kind of stuff until we're ready for whatever the next phase of the show is. But yeah, no, it's been hard for me doing this, but I also enjoy doing it with you. Like I like the connection. I like doing it. And I also, like we switched to this, just doing a news roundup. And part of that was because it's actually easier than deep diving a topic. But I do want to deep dive topics again, or keep experimenting, keep trying new things, seeing what kind of lights the fire under us again. But I think that's been the challenge for me anyway. Is just it's part of it's emotional, part of it's there's a grieving process to when you stop doing something. It's that filled so much of your life, and I stopped doing that, and I stopped engaging with that community because it was just it can be real depressing. that community can be, and I'm afraid to go join another community because all of that stuff's still there because people are people, right?
Yep.
And holy moly, your dad just sent me a message that said wheels and tires are already sold. Holy moly. He just took them off the Jeep today. He's already sold.
Did he get new ones?
Of course he did.
Oh,
because
yeah.
your dad.
Oh, it's dad. Yeah. Good.
It's dad. Yeah. So yeah, I'm afraid to engage with another community because communities are full of people and people can be assholes. So I'm a little bit afraid to do the next step, that might make this show bigger, to get to interact with more people, to do all that stuff. I think I'm just not ready, but I will be at some point. So I just want to say I definitely don't want to give up this show. I don't want anybody to think that's what I'm saying at all. It's just, sometimes the slower pace is just going to be a reality of that, as we re-engage in the things that are happening in our lives a little bit more. I mean, you've been very busy with work. You've had a lot going on.
Yes.
And
it's like that there is a little bit of just that when something starts working, you're just like, I want to grab it,
Yeah.
Because it sometimes, especially with something like writing, you're just like, you feel like there's so many shots that don't work and certain things just feel out of reach. And then to be in the position that I'm in right now with work where I have control and decision-making power over a business, and the business is making money and people are looking to work with it. It's just like, oh, this is a real opportunity now. And so yeah, there is this impulse to just take all your attention beats and put it into that.
Yes.
And so I'm really having to force myself to do things like printing, right? Where it's like, I'm enjoying it. So I've got to do it. I just did one more color on that frog print if you want to see.
I do want to see.
This is the last one before the outline.
So we used to have a challenge, where it was like a group of family members, and it was like a group chat, and every month we would have a new prompt, and we would all make art based on that prompt. And then we stopped for a while. For some reason, a mushroom prompt just made the whole thing fall apart, and we restarted it again. And
the prompt hard on that mushroom prompt too. I mean, multiple iterations, because I had this vision on the New York subway. And I think visions get in the way of that challenge, because I just wanted to do exactly what I wanted to do, which was that the New York subway had these grates, these like air filter grates that had all these holes in them. And I had this vision of mushrooms growing out of the holes, and the tops were all the colors of the different New York City subway seats. So it was like color matched, and it was like something organic coming out of the train. And I just loved this idea, and I could not get it to work. I couldn't figure out anything where I could latch it into the
into the train itself, into the grate.
Yeah, into the train itself, because everything I was thinking at that time was I want to install public art, like semi-illegal public art, and I just couldn't do it. I tried so hard. The other thing is that I was doing a medium that I had no experience in, which is clay. I just so not only did the mushrooms not look how I wanted them to look, but also I couldn't figure out how to get them in there. So
no, but like your aunt is, she's a potter, and she also failed on the mushroom one because she also had a big vision, and she's very good with clay, and she just couldn't get the mushroom one to happen either. So it wasn't just you. It was like a lot of people struggled with mushrooms.
So
Mine took a long time too.
Did you say that we're doing pumpkins right now?
Yeah. Oh, I was about to. Yeah, we're doing pumpkins right now. Yeah, because we're heading into that season. So we just thought, let's just do something easy. Let's do pumpkins.
So this is the screen. So this is cut down only to outline right now. And so it's a frog on a pumpkin with a pumpkin on its head.
And that's a piece of linoleum that you've carved out.
Yeah. You use a bunch of like U-shaped razors and cut it. And so what I do is, like the first color, you'll have cut out a lot of this, so that you'll have only cut out the background basically for the first color, and then you'll cut out the section that you want to remain that following color, and you keep doing it, and it's called a regression print. And so we're all three colors into this. So there will be a black outline that matches that print here, but you can see he's got all of his leaves around him, and there will be a black outline that'll make the
whole thing pop. Yeah, when you get the black outline. Make
it all pop. It is always, it's so rewarding in the final step, but the steps leading up to that, you're like, this isn't going to work. But yeah, something about that black outline really.
Do you have any other prints that are accessible so other people can see what you've done?
Oh, yeah. Give me a sec.
I know what I'm going to do for the pumpkin one, but I haven't started it yet, but I'm pretty excited about my concept. So
Kelly did some of the most delicious pumpkin bread I've ever had. It had like fresh ground, it was nutmeg, right? Fresh ground nutmeg and ginger juice and stuff in it. Dude, it was so good. Sorry, I've got everything stored under my desk, and my desk is cluttered. Okay, so this is probably the one that is like,
yeah, that one's awesome.
The most like definitely good looking print type of thing. And this was another one where that black outline goes on in the very end, and you're sort of like, this is not going to work. There's it on blue. Then there's some one color prints.
I am an owl man.
I'm simply an owl man.
I'm simply an owl man. That's a great carving though.
Yeah, I like that one. Oh no, I thought I had the. Oh, there it is. And then one of the ones I'm most proud of is a Van Gogh inspired take on my dog Moby, and so that's that one.
I had that one hanging in the mudroom area right now. I put it up yesterday.
This is number 5 of 10. And I love this one, but that one was a real labor of love. Was that one.
Right, because you were just learning. That was your first time really doing that many colors and layers and things.
It was. I had done multiple just straight up black and white ones, and that was the first time doing a regression. And in order to avoid challenging myself, I decided to have it inspired by Van Gogh. But it turned out so well, and I was doing it with terrible carving tools that were like the cheapest set that you can get on Amazon, which were, they work for the very first step. And I just got nicer, like real carving tools, and I'm so excited about them. And they do make it so much easier. And then the linoleum that you got me for my birthday is just
butter,
miles better. Oh, it's butter, dude. So yeah, we're absolutely ripping. 40 minutes in. Do you want like a crazy short news one?
Yeah, crazy. Oh, wait, you mean you're just going to blurt it out news, or we're going to really discuss
Do a
it?
little more than that.
Okay, so I was going to just talk about Burning Man a little bit. So Burning Man, it started back in, I think, 1986. And, there was a couple years where because of the pandemic, where they didn't have Burning Man. So last year was the first year since the pandemic that they had it. And this is the second year since that. And there was like 80,000 people there. I mean, it's not a small thing. And Burning Man is not a music festival. You don't want to get it confused with Coachella or anything like that. Burning Man is, people come and create an entire city out in the desert for, like 9 days, a week, whatever it is. And there's no money, except for, I think, maybe water and fuel. Everything else, you need to bring everything you need there with you, and you're not supposed to leave a mess afterwards. You're supposed to take everything with you when you're done. So initially you had a lot of people that would do it, like they had kind of handmade buses and stuff like that, and giant art installations, all this kind of stuff. And over the years it has gotten a little bit more, people with money involved. And so they've added like an airport, a pop-up airport, and this pop-up city happens for the ultra rich. And so on the way to people driving to Burning Man, there were protesters in the middle of the street blocking the route. And mainly they were objecting to the waste of fuel that is involved in Burning Man. And particularly around the fact that there's an airport that magically appears. But I'm sure also because of the, all of the RVs and stuff as well, and the trucks and all that stuff that come. But so we start off already with that kind of clouding Burning Man this year. And then, you got a couple days of what you would expect from Burning Man: people dancing, people dressed up in outlandish outfits, great art installation, people handing out free sandwiches and hamburgers and drugs and alcohol, having a good time, everything you'd expect. And again, it started back in the 80s. So you've got people that are, in their 60s now that are showing up to this every year, that have been doing it every single year. But you've also got a lot of young people. Each of the little parts of the town kind of have their own flavor and their own dynamic. So, you sort of find your community when you go there, and then that's where you are. You're not supposed to drive when you're there. You're supposed to walk or ride bicycles. So because, again, it's creating community and no money's involved, the whole idea is that you help each other. So you might open up a bicycle repair shop while you're there and just help people with their bicycles. You might just be, handing out grilled cheese sandwiches, whatever it is. It's really supposed to be a community event, just showing what people can really do if they cared about each other a little bit more, and embracing the art of it all. And then, of course, this year, after a couple of days in, it starts raining. It's not regular sand out there. It is different. I can't remember if they called it alkaline. I can't remember what they called it, but it's more like a silty sand, which I'm very familiar with. It's in my yard too. And when silt gets wet, it doesn't. So like when sand gets wet, you can still stand on sand, right? It still holds its shape. Silt, it does the opposite. It turns into something that will just swallow you right up into it. And so it was that kind of a mud situation where people, couldn't really, like, your shoes are just caked in like 15 pounds of mud, all of that stuff. It kind of changed the vibe, but also this is a community of people helping each other. So while some people might have left earlier, if you were in a tent, right, instead of in an RV, you're going to be kind of in trouble. So those people might have left. They might have gotten on their bicycles or walked the 6 miles out to the street, whatever it was. If you're Chris Rock or, what's his name? Starts with a D. Who cares? The other guy. You might have you walked 6 miles and then hopped in hitchhiked out of there because you had another gig to do. Along with the idea of kind of more rich people being involved and missing the point, the last few years, they've also had sort of like glamping setups, where you've got air-conditioned tents that are set up that you didn't come, right? You paid for that. The rich people didn't do any of the stuff they're supposed to do. They're not bringing their food in. They're not cleaning up after themselves. They paid to get one of these fancy glamping tents with the air conditioning in it, and that's what they're going to do. And it definitely can change what the meaning of it is like. And so you've got a lot of people that are very critical of what's happening there. Everything kind of got shoved off because of the weather, right? They did finally burn the giant Burning Man effigy. It was several days after what was supposed to happen. They did finally let people out when it was safe to do so. Fun. Let people finally leave. because it really was too wet to leave. I'm sure if you watch social media, you've seen tons of people with like literally Jeeps that are just bogged down in the mud. You know, and you're like,
Yeah.
nice, nice. But some people did abandon their vehicles there, which is kind of messed up. And so people are concerned because, again, you're supposed to leave no trace behind. This is, they get their permits from the Bureau of Land Management, and the Bureau of Land Management comes and inspects. So they've got, I think it's either 2 weeks or a month that they need to clean everything up at. That's when they have their inspection. So last year, you know, they did pass inspection, but it was, you know, it wasn't a perfect passing of inspection. It's going to be even harder this year, but the people that are really committed to this are going to be out there cleaning stuff up. Apparently it costs like $1,800 to get your vehicle towed out of there. So people are leaving their vehicles and just continuing to pay, you know, because so many people got rentals, right? Let me just pay the rental fees for now until I can figure out how to get this vehicle that I have got lodged in the mud. Yep. So it's a mess, but also I don't think it's that big of a deal, man. I just think you got to find ways to solve problems. And yeah, you're going to always have it to me is like a microcosm of America, right? You've got some people that are just going to throw garbage on the ground, you know, and are going to make a mess. And you got other people that are going to clean up your mess for you. You know, there's going to be entitled people, and then there's going to be people that get it. It's just like the world.
And at some point, we're all going to get those entitled people.
Sometimes you're going to be that person that has elite status with your rental car company, and you'll be like,
love it, dude. You know I love it, dude. Excuse me, there's a line here. I was told I was 6th platinum. I don't need to wait in line. Okay. So.
You can go pick my car up at Burning Man. I don't have to do that. I have elite status.
Oh yeah, dude. I do love it. Well, also I just feel like rental cars are crazy expensive. Like every time you look them up, you're like, what the fuck? And then it's like, and then they try and trick you with the insurance, or like there's all these different steps, but then it's just this one thing. Because also the credit card, it covers rental insurance. That card is your rental insurance. So it's just like rental cars don't make any sense until you have the card. It's like health insurance, you know? It's like all these prices for health insurance are crazy until you're in, you know, in the group or whatever, in the insurance. Well, for this, it's like rental cars don't make any sense until you're in the reward system, right? Flying first class doesn't make any sense unless you're absurdly rich or you're in the reward system. All of these things, it's just like, you know, you've got to be inducted. College is crazy expensive unless you take advantage. It's like, it's crazy expensive because most people aren't paying the full amount. And also greed.
We could do an episode on that because there's a lot of shenanigans with colleges used to be pretty much free. So.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it is just interesting. You know, you do this one thing. I just did this one. I mean, I'm not applying for multiple credit cards a year. I applied for one credit card, and then suddenly an entire area of transport opened up to me. And this is really supposed to be a card for hotels and flights. It's like, oh, rental card. This is like an afterthought element of it, is that you get into this one program. But then suddenly it's like, oh, I have a Tesla for 5 days and it's like $210. Oh, and no extra pay for insurance. Love it.
And you don't have to, a Tesla, you don't have to come back with a full tank of gas.
You actually, I thought it was funny. You do have to come back with 75% charge.
Oh, got to plug it in.
So yeah. But also it's they've got their own way of paying for the Tesla superchargers. I'll figure it out. It'll be fun either way. I've never driven a Tesla, so I'm excited about it. Okay, speaking of tents from Burning Man, you know.
Yes. People in tents, man. It was wet for them.
Kathy Hochul, the New York governor, and Eric Adams, the New York City mayor, soon to be not the mayor because your boy is going to be the mayor.
Oh.
Vote for me in 2025, I think.
You got to go get your name on the ballot.
Yeah. So, vote for Colin. That have both come out strongly against who? Against Trump? Against Republicans? No. against Biden. In an election year, the Democrats, Eric Adams and Kathy Hochul, have condemned the White House for their handling of what they're calling the migrant crisis in New York City. Eric Adams has said that if the migrant crisis continues as it is currently going, it won't just destroy our shelter system or our, some second thing. I should have had a list when I started the list. It'll destroy the city itself. New York City, the city of immigrants, will be destroyed by immigrants.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. We are talking about immigrants when we say migrants. We're not talking about people that have just randomly are homeless people that are being randomly trucked from city to city.
Oh no, we are talking about migrants specifically from Mexico, who are asylum seekers, who initially this problem did start with those well-publicized instances of Ron DeSantis and the governor of Texas, whose name I'm forgetting, busing migrants, telling them that they've got something figured out for them, and then busing them to ultra-rich, ultra-liberal cities. I mean, New York isn't really ultra-rich, but it is ultra-liberal city. And being like, see, got them. We just kidnapped these motherfuckers. You're welcome. So that's what it started with, is this sort of program of busing people to New York, and the fact that New York City specifically has laws on the books about for asylum seekers, very specific things that we guarantee to asylum seekers. So we guarantee shelter, we guarantee a place to bathe, and we guarantee food and water to asylum seekers in New York, with no, upper limit, no anything. So what started as a publicity stunt ended up becoming a conduit where asylum seekers from Mexico had heard that the asylum situation in New York was actually significantly better than anywhere else in America. That there was a significant opportunity, and that New York kind of is what New York is. I mean, the Statue of Liberty is over there for a reason. New York is the city of immigrants, and they have systems in place for bringing in and integrating migrants into the fabric of New York. Additionally, many migrants from Mexico have relatives who have emigrated illegally or legally to America, and many of them are in New York. I mean, 1/10 of the population of the country is in this metropolitan area. So yeah, you've got a lot of people, and I would say 1/10. It's actually like a 13th, but
it's still significant.
It's a whole bunch of people. So it becomes attractive for multiple reasons. It becomes attractive because you have friends or family in the region, and because there's infrastructure. So initially there was this sort of like this weird busing situation with DeSantis and the Texas governor, where they were making a point, by the way, which I think fell on deaf ears, but it was a point, which is, oh yeah, you have all of your like high-minded moralist ideas about immigration, but you're also not on the border, right? We have all these small towns that are being asked, that have no, capacity or infrastructure, that are being asked to house thousands of migrants, and the towns are towns of 10,000. So here, let's bring it to your enormous city where you say that you know how to solve the immigration process, and you handle it. It's a good point. The execution was gross, but the point's real. So anyway, there's now been 100,000 asylum seekers who have been brought into New York, and it has put a spectacular strain on the shelter system, which was already strained by increasing rates of homelessness. But it's put a spectacular strain on the shelter system. It's caused 40 different excess shelters to be created, these sort of tent cities in public parks where, presumably people live and walk through, now have thousands of asylum seekers. Even in Midtown Manhattan, there's a couple of areas you can just turn a corner in Midtown Manhattan, and there will be a block that is surrounded by a incredible mass of human beings, just waiting to be processed, waiting for shelter. There's food, there's something like that. It is a lot of people. And the problem is that while we have this policy in place, immigration is broken in the country, and the asylum seekers are allowed to stay in New York, but how do they get work in New York? That was one of the, when people were processed on Ellis Island, that was one of the great promises, was that you came in, you signed your papers, you had the ability to go and work at a bakery, theoretically, to go and get housing, but also get work. And so for months, I think for more than a year now, Eric Adams and more recently Kathy Hochul have been pleading with the federal government, not only for funding to take on this excess number of migrants in order to create a system, but also to speed up or change the process for getting work permits. They're essentially saying this immigration crisis is not a New York issue. This isn't a state issue. And so state coffers should not be entirely dependent upon to handle immigration in the country. But it should be federal funds that are used to use it. And also that work permits should be changed. And largely Joe Biden has not talked about it. Eric Adams has been pleading for a state of emergency to be declared. Kathy Hochul has joined that cry. And now they're pulling out their biggest weapon, which is, hey, we know that Republicans will use the fact that we can't present a united front in order to get real gains on the election trail. And, Eric Adams, I'm the mayor of the largest city in the country and of a liberal stalwart that had recent embarrassing losses in Congress. And, you can't really pull a gun if you're not going to use it. And they're saying, all right, we're going to undermine your reelection campaign right now by saying that you're a bad president and that you're ignoring a massive crisis within the country.
It's fascinating.
So they're doing it. They're taking out the guns.
I think what's interesting about that also is that I don't know that Biden has really changed our immigration policy. I think he's still using the same one that Trump had. And so It's not like if Trump is elected that all of these problems magically get solved. But the reality is that Biden didn't solve. He didn't. It doesn't appear that he's done anything to solve them, really. So, and it has continued to be a problem. I don't think we're ever going to get immigration fully under control. It's not. But for me, it was always. What gets my attention usually is when we talk about children being taken from their parents and then getting lost in the system. And you don't know where your kids are. I always find that one to be a problem. And it still feels like that's happening. It still feels like these issues are not resolved, that we're still putting children in really kind of dangerous situations. And to know that, if you've got more people, one would assume that it's going to require more services and that you will require more people to do those services. So it's almost like it can create its own economy. But if you can't get work permits, then these people are just standing around waiting. Yep. But they still need to be cared for.
But here's what the Biden campaign is quietly feeding back to Hochul and Eric Adams. Okay. It's quietly feeding back. We can probably get funding to increase the capacity of your system there. We could probably get funding, but of course, Congress controls the purse strings, and the Republicans are going to want to hold you guys hostage in order to increase your negative rhetoric. And so they're not very likely to improve funding right now, especially with what you're doing, because it's so advantageous for them from a voting standpoint. He does have the power to cause a state of emergency. I don't know what he said about that, but the main thing he said is that the work permits element, the element which would allow New York to do what New York is supposed to do, that work permits element is a bad incentive, is what they're saying here. So it might be good for the people that are there, right? It might be good that all of this, that they can get jobs or whatever. But if the problem is volume of migrants, we want to make America not look like a good place for migrants to come. Really, your big problem, New York, is that you have this multiple centuries old law on the books about how you handle migrants because you're defined as a migrant city. And really, your problem is that you look too good. So to add work permits is only to make it more enticing to asylum seekers to come over the border and come to New York. So we're going to not give that. We're going to show that we're not going to help migrants in order to prevent more from coming. And that seems to be the back channel messaging from the White House, which is
gross.
Yeah, great. Oh, very cool.
We love when you play politics with actual human lives. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Actual human lives. And keep in mind, it's the lives of these asylum seekers. It's also like what increases crime in a region? It's not immigration, right? It's not different ethnic groups. It's lack of good job opportunities, right? If you need to provide for your family, but it's impossible for you to work on the up and up, you have to turn to illegal forms of work, which is commonly what people will do, like farmers take advantage of illegal immigrants, but also other illegal forms of work, or they turn to crime, which is of course, that's what's going to happen. And so what are you going to do here in order to create a good incentive structure with our neighboring country who is failing to police within their own borders and create safe communities for people that live in Mexico? In order to create an incentive structure that keeps them there, what we're going to do is create a situation where it's unlivable for immigrants in New York and create a situation where crime is going to go up. And what's going to happen? Probably anti-immigrant sentiments are going to increase, which only help Republicans. So good plan, Biden.
We're feeding the wrong thing. Similarly, down on the border of Texas, they had put up a bunch of razor wire in the Rio Grande, right in the water. They float it, right? They'd have these big pontoons out there and they would cover them in razor wire. And there's some indications that people died trying to cross the river because of this razor wire. The Supreme Court, I think, just ruled on it. I don't know which level of Supreme Court. I don't think it was the big Supreme Court. But anyway, they ruled on it that they have to remove it.
That makes sense. It's like a booby trap, right? You're not allowed to booby trap your home.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, they're making them remove it. They say you need to put it up on the shore, get it out of the water. You can't do this. This is not, and the governor of Texas is all like, but, how else are we going to keep them? The same things that you're saying. You don't understand how bad this situation is, and it's just like.
Did you watch the Republican debate?
No, I didn't.
I had an absolute blast watching it. It wasn't as bad as I expected. And also the moderation was way better than the Democratic debates. I fucking can't believe that we don't get it. But the system works perfect, everybody. Also, the Republicans are going to vote in Trump again, which is infuriating. But one thing that I thought was interesting was that Ramaswamy, who is currently polling third, he's got 9% of the vote, largely because of this debate. Ramaswamy said that if he was president, he would go further in his immigration policy than any previous president, not in that he would try and change our openness to asylum seekers or build a wall or whatever, but that he would let Mexico know that if they can't get their cartel problem under control, which is largely to blame for people being fearful for their lives in Mexico, if they can't get the cartel under control, then America will launch an active war on Mexico in order to kill the cartel. And I'm like, not like depose the president, we're going to go in there and we're going to kill every cartel member and then we're going to leave and we're going to see if Mexico's any better for it. So I was like,
I mean, stuff like that just listen, I it's an interesting thought, but doesn't stuff like that normally just create a new power vacuum that some other person fills, and you don't know if you're getting somebody better or worse? You don't know. I mean, they do need to get their cartel situation under control.
They
They do.
absolutely need to get the cartel under control. They also need to get corruption under control. There's so much that Mexico needs to do, and there's so many Mexican politicians who should not breathe anymore. But I was interested in what he was saying, because I do think it's surprising how not antagonistic our relationship with Mexico is, considering they have essentially a pro-cartel party that runs for Congress every year. And it's like, yeah, I think that we should have some involvement in that. It's crazy how much involvement we have in like oil countries. And it's like, I mean, if immigration is really a problem, I feel like Mexico, the country, is probably who we should be talking about. But
no, it's, interestingly, also in news for Mexico is that they have they've made some new rulings about abortion where they're not making it illegal, I guess is the best way to say it. I will say, just like we have states that have, certain controls, so do they there. It's not like, it's just like here. And so there are certain states in Mexico where, they're 100%, you can't get an abortion, but they are really kind of starting to open that up. They just had a Supreme Court ruling about it down there. And so it is interesting to see how that might play out, that they are maybe getting a tiny bit more liberal than expected while we're going in the opposite direction, while simultaneously having a cartel problem and sending people over the border.
You know who we need to send over the border? Giuliani. Giuliani, get that cartel cleaned up real quick, okay? With a little bit of New York action. All right.
Sure.
There, like, whoa, is this window broken? So
he's on the up and up. Yeah, like there's
yeah, he's a cool guy. Let's send him to Mexico. Okay.
There's plenty of indications that Giuliani is involved in cartels, but mainly Russian ones, Russian cartels.
Hey, dude, the cartels. I'll be interested in how shows like Narcos age, because the sort of like, these guys are badass of it all is like when you dig into what the cartel did, it is so far beyond like the Italian and Russian gangs of the 1900s or anything. The cartel is one of the most disgusting organizations on the planet. I would put it on par with like ISIS or the Taliban. It is, it is on another level. The inhumanity of them, I think that, and it's like who's that guy that escaped multiple times? The like most famous cartel boss.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know his name.
I'm just saying, I think that at some point, if the messaging was right, you could see a celebration of like a cartel boss's death, similar to the celebration you saw on Osama bin Laden's death. I mean, these are terrorists beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I think that if you phrased a war with the cartel as a war on terror, it'd be a little bit different. I think one concern is that the inhumanity of the cartel is going to lead them to any war that's waged on them by America. They're going to use tactics that we may have seen in like Vietnam.
Yeah.
So anyway, a lot to think about there, but I thought it was very interesting that Ramaswamy put it on the table. I was like, oh, okay, this is a conversation. It's like we got out of the swing of all the normal talking points. They also kept saying Bidenomics, and I felt like that sounded sick. Like, Bidenomics?
Yep. All the inflation that we're experiencing is his fault.
Yep.
Yeah.
All him, all Biden. What are we doing?
I am disappointed though that he views work permits as the wrong move because it sends the wrong message.
Yeah.
That this is not a hostile place to come, and so people will keep wanting to come. Come on.
Yeah.
That's how you know somebody's been in politics too long, because they see people also, as chess pieces.
It's also something that happens when, like, America has an inability to confront the root cause of the massive amount of immigration. I think there's also just a sense of concern in government that it's about to become impossible to make jobs. And so Like, whereas previously it's like, oh yes, bring your labor here. I think that there's increasing concern that there might not be any more use for work, and it's going to be a race to the bottom in terms of population. So,
I mean, I do think we should be getting ready for that idea. You know, that are we playing Geo Guesser? Oh, my booty. I do think we need to be thinking though about the idea of work not existing anymore, and what does the world look like then? How do we take care of everything that needs to be taken care of without the capitalist model? You know, how does that work? We should be thinking about it and not just be saying, ah.
Well, good thing we have an 80-year-old man. Like, he's
just
ready to handle it. Oh, I'm being ageist. Oh no.
Yeah.
Not ageism. Dude, everyone that rallies against ageism, they're never arguing that like 14-year-olds should be allowed to vote. It's like, fucking put your money where your mouth is, you nerd.
Oh, is this like Russia or somewhere in that area?
Yeah, it's somewhere in that. It's got the backward R and the backward N. It does.
Maybe it's Moldova. No, I don't know what it is.
It seems Russian, but I've got to think that it's like on the like Mongolia border or something. It's like the visual.
Oh, let's look at the people. If you want to say the Mongolia border,
right? It's like
they have head coverings, but so is this. But a Russian babushka lady would also have a head covering. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be like Central Russia or.
Ooh, what's on this ambulance looking?
Tourist buster.
Oh. What's on the one next to it? Oh.
Did I miss it?
No, it's actually in front of us, so maybe we just can't get closer.
Oh, I see.
I can't tell what those letters say.
B42 17AC.
Must be their license plate or something. I don't know. Oh, wait, look, turn the other way. What's on this truck? Did that say Italy? That's confusing.
Como Italy.
I don't think that we're in Italy.
We're definitely not in Italy. No question. Here, yeah, let's start looking at a map here. I'm going to have to angle my screen down because, here. Sorry, everyone.
It's all good. How do we zoom in? Zoom in on the map. Zoom in.
I'm trying. Okay. Zooming in. Yeah, like I'm thinking, you know, in one of these like regions, Kazakhstan or something with proximity, like proximity to Georgia or let's say Saratov.
Okay. It does look city-ish. You know, we're not like out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, it was Kyrgyzstan. Ah, well. Not an incredible guess, but what are you going to do? Ooh, Ireland? Question mark?
I don't have information.
Might not be quite bright enough, but these stone walls, man. Very.
You do have those. It is. You know, you're onto something there. Oh, it's looking quite green over here. It's corn.
Corn.
Yeah, cornfields. They definitely farm in Ireland.
I thought it was only potatoes.
No.
Hey, these houses do not look very Irish. These look Spanish or Portuguese.
I mean, there's a lot of places that like to put a big stone wall around things. I think if you've been a place that war has happened a lot.
Pikes-a-Fio.
Then you start building big stone walls around your house.
Okay, I'm thinking like northern Italy right now.
Oh, there's a palm tree, so maybe you're right. Probably not Ireland. There's a mountain over there. Oh, is it the ocean in that direction?
It's a plane.
No, but I mean, like you can see that's kind of hilly, right? And then keep going to the right.
You want me to like go that way?
No. Well, I mean, I guess you can. I mean, I don't know. Let's look at the house then. Weird. got pull down shades. Still could be anywhere in Europe.
Red door.
We got a lot of palm trees though, so I think we're probably not far from the ocean. But there's also hilly mountains that way. Ooh, what's this little sign?
Era.pt. Oh,
Are we in the United States?
No. It said .pt.
Oh, I can't see that. PT. I don't know what country .pt would be.
I don't either. Oh, Portugal. Duh.
Oh, good guess. Let's go to Portugal. Go near the water, but also mountainy. Let's go to Coimbra or something.
No, dude. Oh.
Where the heck is this?
Angra.
I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, I didn't even know there were islands over here, dude.
Also, we did great. We weren't that far from Portugal.
It's clearly part of Portugal. I've literally never heard of these. That I had no idea there were islands here.
Oh, geez. Utah. Wyoming. I don't know where we are. Africa.
Africa would be my first guess for sure.
Because of what hemisphere we're in, or?
No, because of the trees. It's a little wet though.
Oh, let's look at the buildings a little bit here. I can't see anything. Boop, boop. It looks delightful.
Yes, this is where I would like to live.
Jeez, it's a lot of cement. But what was it, like aloe plant or something?
Everything's got barbed wire around it, which makes me think South Africa.
Yeah.
Like this gate. Oh, Salvador?
Bachillerato. So maybe we're in South America or Central America? I don't know.
I mean, where's El Salvador?
Oh, I think it's in Central America, isn't it? Let's see. I think you're too far south. Zoom in over there by Nicaragua. Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, there we go. San Salvador. Damn it. Puebla.
Puebla what? What country is that? Puebla
Mexico.
just means village. Oh, it was Mexico?
Servicio Forturi de Auto Vehicle.
Auto vehicle? Why would you spell vehicle like that? Huh.
It's quite strange. It feels Eastern European, but not like before their letters get weird. Like not like Serbia?
That's a good guess. I want to say Poland.
Poland. Oh, this is a taxi. There's a good chance there's something on this. Speed taxi. 99 lie per kilometer. Do you know what like unit of money a lie would be? LEI?
Oh, like a lire?
Yeah, where's that?
LEI. Well, most places use euros now. LEI. I mean, normally I would say Italy, but no, I don't think that's right. What's this green fence? There's like a sign up above it.
Oh, yep. Strada Giral Candiano Popescu. Let's see if I can see this other one.
Popescu.
Strada Giral Nikolai Haralambi. This is going to be
Haralambi. Oh man, that seems like so many languages all at once. Perhaps we're
Croatia or Slovenia.
I like Slovenia better. It's got a bunch of little Janja. That's a funny name.
It does feel more like a soft language, but it couldn't be Austria, right?
It feels like somewhere that's got a bunch of stuff mixed together to me. I don't know. I don't think it's Austria. It feels Polandy.
Slovakia.
Okay.
Slovakia. But we didn't see any of those stupid.
We could look around more unless we're running out of time.
We got 54 seconds.
Oh, okay. What's this? Let's go look at the parking sign over there.
Ku Plata. Parcar Ku Plata. I do think it is. It's got those. Yeah, it's got those A's. I think it's going to be Slovakia.
Let's go with Slovakia.
We'll put it like right by Romania. Damn it.
Okay, close enough.
Okay, last one.
Okay. Oh, a big glass building.
Secretaria Regional Ministerial de Salud Magallanes y
Antarctica. Chilean. Are we in Chile?
Are we in the Chile Antarctica Institute? Which, as we all know, is in Santiago.
Do we all know that?
Mom, of course it's in Santiago. We're just going to put that in briefly, but we don't need to dedicate quite yet. Does that look like the Chile flag?
I wouldn't know. We're definitely, look at that, it says Chilano on it.
Yeah, we're definitely in Chile. So are we in Santiago, or is it not quite big enough? I mean, there is some tall buildings. We might be on like the outskirts of it.
Yeah, it feels like a weird.
Santiago's huge.
Area. I got nothing out of that. I mean, I don't think we're in town.
Manuel Bones Santos Mardones. What, am I not pronouncing it right?
I don't know.
I'm sure that I'm not.
I can't be trusted on such things.
Senales.
They blocked out that sign so you couldn't see it. Jerks.
Yeah.
You must have said that.
Probably thought it was a license plate. Vicente Reyes. Okay. Cuidado. Oh, my dad.
Salida de vehiculos.
Oh, salad cars.
It's more like room. It's the place. It's the place for vehicles. I think it's maybe the vehicle registration or something. Or something. It's probably something.
Oh, you know what? If it's by Antarctica, would it be in like the very southern tip of Chile?
It could be, but like not where there's still enough of a town there. Because I don't think we're on the water.
Yeah, you're right.
Go up higher to like where it's a little bit mountainous.
It's not really a lot of large cities.
No.
Puerto Montt.
Sure, let's go there.
Oh, it was right at the bottom. It wasn't the one I zoomed in on.
Oh no! Oh, see, but now there's a town there.
That's the one. This is the one I zoomed in on.
I didn't see a town when you zoomed in. Okay. That's funny.
That's one of our worst rounds, I think. But
is it? I thought we did great.
Oh, you're right. We did great. You want to do one versus and then call it a day?
Sure.
Cool. I think one of our friends just had a scientific breakthrough, so we're going to go party with them.
Party for science. Yes. Sign me up. I won't know what's going on, but I'll be interested nonetheless.
All right. This guy's going to be better than me, but. Okay. Ooh, what's this noise that I don't want?
Some intensity.
Right. There we go.
Okay. We got some tropical plants.
We've got some of that funky type of text.
Farmland. Are we in Thailand? Where are we?
Thailand feels like a very good guess. But not enough
people riding around in. Are they like in a little cart? Oh, somebody's got something.
Not enough lines, I don't think. Could it be Singapore or Sri Lanka? All right.
I don't know what you're using to.
Thailand. Bangladesh. We got beaten barely. But it's fine.
Yep.
This feels very Norway.
Pine trees. We got a highway system that looks reasonably well maintained. Beautiful trees.
Colorado, but
It's Oregon.
This is definitely not America.
Oh, because we got 2 white lines?
Yeah.
What's the deal with these white lines? They look weird.
It's a little strange.
Okay, red and these signs are an interesting color.
There they are. God, the seasons keep changing.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, I've got to go like Norway. We were both close, but he was closer.
He looks real close.
Yeah, I could tell as soon as I saw his avatar that he was going to be good because he cares about his avatar.
Okay.
All
No
right,
passing.
So it feels like Africa, but okay, wait. The sun's in the south. Okay, we're in the northern hemisphere. It is not Africa. Bada bing.
We got 2 white lines. Reasonably well maintained road. Let's see.
Northern hemisphere. So,
Technical and medical gases. That's all English. Are we in Canada?
I don't think Canada. I think Canada has some yellow on the street. Lugard.
Kilometers.
Jupa. It's a little bit of a. Oh, he knows something. Oh, bro, I have no clue. Romania.
Yeah, he figured that out somehow. He looks real close. I feel like we're not even doing bad, but we're just being crushed.
Yeah, he's good at this. Okay, definitely one of the Eastern European ones. It's got the backwards R. So, if I remember correctly. He knows it too. Damn it.
1.9 miles? He must have saw a sign.
Oh well. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
It's been an absolute blessing.
Thank you, Wendy and Ashley and Barbie and anybody else who was watching without typing or is watching us on replay. Thank you for visiting us, keeping us company. We appreciate it. Should we say that?
As always, I will leave you with a haiku, as we do every week.
Okay.
This was the news show, but we did not talk about news. We talked about. All right, play the thing.
Play the thing. Oh, I'm so slow. Okay.
Nobody is.
News. Life updates. News. Nobody. Yeah.